Hey, so today I'm going to review this book. This is The Collected Works of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, and I think it's also known as The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. It is about a man named A.J. Fikry who owns a independent bookstore on an sort of isolated island, and his wife has just tragically died and his life is basically a wreck, and he's sort of given up on things. And then one day a package is left in his bookstore and it changes everything, and that's sort of the premise of the story. This is definitely a book for book lovers. If you love books, if you love bookstores, if you just love collecting books, if you love stories, then this is definitely a story that you want to check out because it involves a lot of that. I think it's also would be a really good book. It's an adult book, and I think it would be really good if you wanted to get into that sort of age category, because it leans a little bit YA, I think, so I think it'd be good if you wanted to read adult books and you read YA. And it's just has a really easy writing style, really easy to follow, and really easy to read. I think I read this in one sitting. It was so enjoyable and so much fun and just so easy to kind of just go into the story and just, you know, be consumed, or not consumed, but to just, you know, find myself in this world and find myself with these characters. The characters are one of my favorite things about this story. I love the characters. They're all really interesting, especially the main character who's kind of stubborn and he only likes certain books. He's one of those people who doesn't like YA and doesn't like specific types of books, and doesn't like super hyped books and other stuff like that. I don't think he likes children's books or sequels. He has very specific tastes and he shares that taste with people. I really loved his growth and to see his connection with books. He really loves books, he really loves stories. Each chapter starts off with this sort of thing. It's a book title, or most of the time I think it's a short story title because he reads a lot of short stories. It's a short story title, and then he sort of says his thoughts on it, and I found that it's sort of connected to that chapter in a very subtle way. The story, if you've read the short story or you read the story that he talks about, it kind of relates to it a little bit, and it's sort of, you know, I just really loved it. It sort of was another bookish thing that was added into this book, and I loved his thoughts about books. I would have loved to see what his kind of review of different books would be, even though he's a fictional character. But yeah, I just really found him really interesting, and really connected to him and what he was going through. I was really happy when I was reading this book, and there were chapters that I was smiling the whole way through. I just couldn't help it. There were parts where I laughed, but there were also parts where it was really sad and sort of depressing a little bit, and I almost cried at the end. So it's a very sort of full experience when it comes to reading. I also really loved about the characters that they all sort of have a relationship with books, and some of those relationships change throughout the book, and I really loved how they changed and sort of the connection that they had to books and how books were a part of their life. It was weird and great to read a story where books played such a big part of the story. Stories played a big part of the stories, and I really loved some of the people's relationship with books because it kind of related to my own. And it was just great to see. It's great to see people reading, and it's great to read about people reading, or read about people learning how to love reading, or learning how to love reading in a different way than they did before. And I just really enjoy that. And the sitting, as well as a lot of the time in a bookstore, it makes me happy. I love being in bookstores, and just having a sitting that was in a bookstore and to have books be sort of props in the story and to be always present was just really good. This book just sort of explains or shows to you a sort of love for reading that I have, and I think a lot of other people have, and you sort of just connect to it so well, and it just sort of reminds you in a great way how amazing reading is, and how amazing books are, and how amazing bookstores are, and sort of that atmosphere and that environment and that world, and it's just really great to read that. The only thing I didn't like was that things sort of came together too neatly and too perfectly, and the plot was sort of too perfect. It all came together so well, and some of the events that happened were sort of just not just coincidences. I don't know, it sort of had a fairy tale-ish sort of vibe to it with how things happened in the book. But it really didn't detract from how much I love this book, and I loved it so much. It was such an amazing read. I think I'm gonna give this 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it and it's definitely a favorite. And yeah, I definitely recommend it to you, and if you've read it, tell me what you thought in the comment section below. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you next time. Bye!